Have you ever wondered how some people seem to stand unmoved in the face of adversity, as if they carry an ancient source of strength within them? Imagine for a moment facing life's storms not with fear or hesitation, but with calm resilience, a steady mind, and a firm heart. What if there were a way to cultivate this strength, a path to peace in any situation? This journey of resilience takes us back to the wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy crafted through centuries of trial and triumph. Among its most notable practitioners was Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who wielded vast power yet chose to look within for guidance, to forge a life of virtue and strength against every adversity. His timeless work, Meditations, remains a beacon for those who seek to build an unbreakable inner core. Today, we'll accompany a new character, Leo, a man navigating his own journey through life's unpredictable challenges. Leo, like so many of us, has felt the weight of setbacks, loss, and doubt. But what sets him apart is his growing curiosity for something deeper, a path he begins to uncover through the wisdom of Stoic teachings. Together, we'll walk through 10 powerful Stoic lessons that Leo adopts on his journey. Each one, a stepping stone towards mental resilience and inner strength, builds upon the last, guiding him through struggles and forging a spirit unbreakable by circumstance. Stay with us to the end, where the final lesson reveals a secret of enduring inner peace, a treasure that completes Leo's transformation and, perhaps, will inspire yours. Are you ready to take the first step? Lesson 1. Cultivate inner peace. Leo's story begins in the middle of a crowded city. The noise, the rush, the endless demands, each day felt like a battle for him. His mind, constantly racing, was a restless sea, shifting from worry to anxiety, rarely finding a moment's rest. He often asked himself, "How can I find peace amidst all this chaos?" The answer, he would soon discover, lay within. One evening, as Leo found himself overwhelmed and exhausted, he came across the words of Marcus Aurelius. "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." The words seemed simple, yet they held a profound truth. Leo realized that peace wasn't something he could find in the world around him. It was something he had to create within. He began to wonder, what if inner peace is a choice, a practice? Could it be that I am the one responsible for my state of mind? Determined to explore this idea, Leo started incorporating small moments of stillness into his day. He learned to pause, to breathe deeply, and to let his mind settle. He practiced observing his thoughts without becoming consumed by them. Gradually, these moments of mindfulness helped him cultivate a calmness he had never felt before. The transformation wasn't immediate, nor was it easy. There were days when the noise of the world seemed louder than ever, but Leo had found a tool he could return to, a method for realigning himself with a sense of balance and serenity. It was as if he were building a shield, not to block out the world, but to protect his own peace within it. He noticed that as his inner peace grew, so did his ability to handle stress. No longer was he a mere leaf tossed by the wind. He was the calm in the storm. Leo started to see how powerful his thoughts were, how they colored his view of the world. With this realization, he began to choose thoughts that aligned with his newfound peace. What about you? Have you ever thought about how the color of your thoughts affects your life? Imagine if, like Leo, you could shape a life of calm resilience by cultivating peace within. Perhaps it's worth trying, just a few moments each day, to center yourself and reclaim that peace. And so, Leo's journey continued. With the foundation of inner peace taking root, he was ready for the next step on his path to resilience, learning to embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth. Lesson 2. Embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth. Leo's newfound sense of inner peace was just the beginning. With a calmer mind, he began to see his daily struggles with fresh eyes. He no longer avoided challenges, but wondered, what if these obstacles are not here to hinder me, but to teach me? This question lingered, urging him to see adversity as something more than mere hardship. Leo's curiosity was put to the test when his workplace announced a major restructuring. Many of his colleagues faced layoffs, and the uncertainty weighed heavily on him. His first reaction was one of dread. He felt trapped, helpless, and afraid of what might come. But as he returned to his practice of inner peace, he remembered Marcus Aurelius's words, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Could it be that this setback was an opportunity? Leo started to look deeper, choosing to approach the situation not with fear, but with the mindset of a learner. He asked himself, what can I learn here that will help me become stronger? Determined to face the challenge head-on, Leo began to view each day as a lesson in resilience. He honed new skills, adapted to changing demands, and embraced roles he had never considered. Through these efforts, he discovered strengths he hadn't known he possessed: creativity, problem-solving, and the courage to lead. Slowly, he transformed the anxiety of his situation into a path of self-improvement. This shift wasn't easy. There were still moments of fear and doubt, but Leo's resolve grew stronger. He was beginning to see that each obstacle in his path was an invitation for growth, not a threat. As time passed, he realized something remarkable. Adversity had become his teacher, shaping him into a more capable and resilient person. The experience wasn't about avoiding discomfort, but learning from it, finding strength in every challenge. And so, Leo had found a new way forward, one in which hardship was no longer his enemy, but his guide. He began to wonder, if every challenge holds the potential for growth, what other opportunities have I been overlooking? What about you? When life presents you with challenges, do you see them as obstacles or as opportunities for growth? Consider how, like Leo, you might transform these moments of struggle into powerful stepping stones on your journey. With the confidence that adversity could serve his growth, Leo now turned his attention inward once again, ready for the next Stoic principle, practicing detachment from external events. Lesson 3. Practice detachment from external events. As Leo deepened his journey into Stoicism, he encountered a profound realization. Much of his inner turmoil stemmed from things beyond his control. He noticed how easily he was affected by others' opinions, by shifting situations at work, and by the daily frustrations of life. One day, a question emerged in his mind, simple yet transformative. What if my peace doesn't depend on anything outside of me? This question sparked a new curiosity in him. The more he thought about it, the more he realized that true strength came not from changing the world around him, but from controlling his response to it. He was ready to practice detachment, not a cold or indifferent withdrawal, but a wise letting go of things he couldn't control. In Stoicism, detachment doesn't mean apathy, it means freedom from needless suffering, a mastery over one's own reactions. Leo's resolve to detach was quickly put to the test. He had planned a weekend getaway with friends, a chance to unwind and escape the stress of work. But as the weekend approached, his plans started to unravel. A work emergency arose, some friends cancelled last minute, and the weather forecast showed heavy rain. Frustration simmered within him, and for a moment he could feel the grip of disappointment and irritation. But then he paused and remembered Marcus Aurelius's words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Taking a deep breath, he asked himself, What if this situation doesn't have to ruin my peace? What if I choose to let go of these expectations? Instead of focusing on what went wrong, Leo redirected his energy inward. He went on a solo hike, finding solace in the quiet of nature despite the rain. This small act of detachment felt liberating, like loosening the grip of disappointment and embracing the beauty of the moment as it was. He realized that by letting go of his need for control, he had found something better: freedom. This practice of detachment became a powerful tool for Leo. At work, he found himself less affected by the constant changes and office politics. In his personal life, he grew less dependent on others' approval. The more he released his attachment to outcomes, the more resilient he became, unshaken by life's ups and downs. Leo began to see that his well-being wasn't tied to the fickle world of external events, but rooted firmly within himself. By detaching from what he couldn't control, he gained control over his most precious asset, his inner peace. What about you? How often do you let external events dictate your peace of mind? Imagine what might happen if you too could detach from the uncontrollable and reclaim the freedom to choose your response. With this newfound sense of inner freedom, Leo prepared himself for the next lesson, one that called him to live fully in each passing moment, embracing the present with mindfulness. Lesson 4. Live in the present moment. As Leo's journey into Stoic resilience deepened, he realized that much of his suffering stemmed from living anywhere but the present. His mind often drifted into regrets over the past or anxieties about the future, robbing him of the peace that existed only in the now. Reflecting on this, he asked himself, what if I could truly live in the present moment, experiencing each day fully as it unfolds? Inspired, Leo decided to make a change. He began his mornings with a quiet moment of reflection, asking himself, what is essential for today? Rather than racing into his routine, he paused, grounding himself in the here and now. He committed to being fully present, a simple yet profound goal. But, as he would soon discover, it was far from easy. One morning, as Leo walked through the city, he found his mind wandering back to a difficult conversation he'd had with his manager the day before. His thoughts buzzed with frustration and imagined scenarios, building stories around what had happened and what could happen next. But then, he caught himself. He remembered his commitment to the present moment and brought his attention back to where he was, right there on that crowded street, the cool morning air, the sun filtering through the trees, the sounds of footsteps around him. For a moment, he was simply there, free from the weight of past and future. This practice of grounding himself in the present became a daily exercise. It wasn't easy. His mind often tried to pull him back into memories or forward into anxieties. But the more he practiced, the more he found moments of peace, small sanctuaries of stillness in the chaos of daily life. Each time he noticed his mind drifting, he gently brought it back to the present, treating each thought as a passing cloud rather than a storm. Leo began to see the benefits of this practice. He found himself more attentive in conversations, more appreciative of small moments, and less overwhelmed by stress. By focusing on the present, he experienced life with a clarity he had never known. He noticed the colors of the world around him, the warmth of a cup of tea, the laughter of friends, all the things he once took for granted. In embracing the present moment, Leo discovered a new kind of strength. He no longer carried the burden of regrets or the weight of future worries. He was free to live each day with a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that now. What about you? Do you find yourself caught between memories and worries, missing the beauty of the present? Imagine how different life could be if you let go of what was and what could be, choosing instead to fully embrace what is. With his heart anchored in the present, Leo felt ready to cultivate two new qualities that would deepen his resilience: humility and empathy. Lesson 5. Cultivate humility and empathy. Leo's journey thus far had taught him the value of inner peace, resilience in adversity, detachment and presence. But he was about to learn that true strength was incomplete without humility and empathy. For years, he had held others to standards he himself struggled to meet, often finding fault in people around him, at work, in relationships, even with strangers. Yet, as he delved deeper into Stoicism, he began to wonder, what if my criticisms of others reveal more about my own character than theirs? The question came to life one day during a team project at work. Leo found himself growing frustrated with a colleague, Julia, whose mistakes seemed to slow the entire team down. Irritation simmered within him as he struggled to keep his annoyance hidden. He began to blame her in his mind, thinking of how much smoother things would be without her errors. But then, he remembered the words of Marcus Aurelius. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: which of my own faults most resembles the one I am about to criticize? Leo paused, reflecting on his own mistakes. He realized that he too had often made similar errors when he first joined the team, and that Julia was simply on her own learning path. With this newfound humility, Leo's frustration began to dissolve, replaced by empathy. He saw Julia not as an obstacle, but as a fellow traveler on the same journey, each of them facing their own challenges. Inspired by this shift, he offered her gentle guidance rather than criticism, sharing tips he had learned from his own past struggles. This experience taught Leo the profound power of humility and empathy in strengthening relationships. Humility, he discovered, was not about lowering oneself, but about recognizing the shared humanity in everyone. By seeing his own flaws reflected in others, Leo found it easier to be patient, understanding, and compassionate. He began to apply this principle in other areas of his life. With friends, he listened more and judged less. At home, he practiced patience with his family, understanding that they, too, had their own struggles and imperfections. The more he cultivated humility, the less he needed to be right, and the more his relationships flourished. Empathy, too, became a powerful force in Leo's life. He started to see beyond the surface, understanding that people's actions often came from places of fear, insecurity, or confusion, emotions he too had faced. By placing himself in others' shoes, he developed a compassion that softened his interactions and strengthened his bonds with those around him. What about you? Do you find yourself quick to judge, or do you pause to consider the shared struggles that unite us all? Imagine how your relationships might transform if, like Leo, you approached each interaction with humility and empathy. With humility as his guide, Leo was ready to turn his attention to the practice of gratitude, a Stoic virtue that would deepen his resilience even further, the art of recognizing life's blessings. Lesson 6. Practice gratitude. After learning humility and empathy, Leo began to sense a subtle change in himself. He had learned to approach life with less judgment and more compassion, yet he often found himself feeling weighed down by the stresses of daily life, caught up in what he didn't have or what went wrong. He wondered, is there a way to shift my focus from what is lacking to what I already have? In his search for an answer, Leo stumbled upon a simple yet powerful Stoic practice: gratitude. He began each morning by sitting quietly and recalling 3 things he felt grateful for, regardless of how big or small. Some days, it was the warmth of his morning coffee. Other days, it was the support of his friends or the beauty of a sunset. This practice seemed humble at first, But as the days passed, he noticed something remarkable. His outlook on life was changing. Gratitude allowed him to see the world in a new light. Rather than focusing on his problems or on the things he wanted but didn't have, he found himself noticing the small joys and privileges of everyday life. Each morning he thanked himself for his health, his mind, and the ability to learn and grow. This simple act of gratitude became a kind of shield, protecting his mind from the negativity and dissatisfaction that often plagued him. One evening, Leo faced a difficult situation at work. A project he had invested months in fell through, and he felt the sting of disappointment. The old Leo might have felt defeated, fixated on what had gone wrong. But now, grounded in gratitude, he took a deep breath and remembered the progress he'd made. He recognized the valuable lessons he'd learned through the process, the skills he'd developed, and the support he'd received from his team. Instead of wallowing in defeat, he felt a quiet sense of appreciation, a resilience that softened the blow of failure. Practicing gratitude opened Leo's eyes to the hidden wealth in his life. He no longer chased after fleeting rewards or measured his worth by his successes alone. Instead, he found fulfillment in acknowledging what he already possessed, a wealth of experiences, relationships, and small moments that gave his life richness. Leo soon noticed that gratitude had ripple effects beyond his own mind. His relationships grew stronger as he expressed appreciation for the people around him. He began to see the efforts of his friends, family, and colleagues, acknowledging their kindness, support, and the positive impact they had on his life. Gratitude brought an unexpected joy to his interactions, deepening his bonds and fostering a spirit of warmth and understanding. What about you? How often do you take time to appreciate the small blessings in your life? Imagine if, like Leo, you started each day with a moment of gratitude, allowing yourself to focus on what is already good and meaningful in your life. With a grateful heart, Leo was ready to embrace the next Stoic lesson, one that would transform his challenges into tools for self-improvement, learning to see adversity as an opportunity for growth. Lesson 7. Embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth. Leo had now established practices of peace, detachment, and gratitude, but there was one lesson he still struggled to fully understand: how to view adversity as an opportunity for growth. Life was often unkind and unpredictable, filled with moments that threatened to break his spirit. He wondered, can hardship truly make me stronger, or is this just a comforting idea we tell ourselves? One day, Leo's resilience was tested in a way he hadn't anticipated. He received unexpected news. His company had to downsize, and his position was on the line. The fear and uncertainty hit him like a wave, flooding him with doubt and anxiety. The situation felt overwhelming, and, for a brief moment, he questioned all the progress he had made. How can I possibly see this as an opportunity? He thought. But then, in a quiet moment, he remembered the words of Marcus Aurelius: "What stands in the way becomes the way." He took a deep breath and let these words sink in. Maybe this setback wasn't here to break him. Maybe it was here to show him something he couldn't see before, to guide him toward growth. Determined to face the situation with a Stoic mindset, Leo decided to reframe his perspective. Instead of viewing this challenge as a defeat, he saw it as an invitation to reinvent himself. He asked himself, what can I learn from this? What new paths might this open for me? In the weeks that followed, Leo poured his energy into exploring new skills and career possibilities. He enrolled in online courses, networked with professionals in fields he had always been curious about, and even revived an old passion for writing that he'd abandoned years ago. Slowly, he discovered that he wasn't defined by his job title. His worth went beyond his current role. Each small step fueled his confidence, showing him that adversity, rather than an enemy, was a hidden teacher. Through this experience, Leo learned that resilience was not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to adapt and grow through it. He began to see challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones to a stronger version of himself. He understood that while he couldn't always control what happened, he could control his response, choosing growth over defeat. This new perspective had a profound effect on his daily life. When faced with smaller setbacks, a missed opportunity, a difficult conversation, a frustrating delay, he reminded himself that each moment held the potential for growth. He stopped seeing problems as burdens and began to view them as opportunities to build his character, deepen his skills, and strengthen his spirit. What about you? Do you find yourself shrinking from adversity, or do you see it as a chance to grow? Imagine if, like Leo, you could transform each obstacle into a powerful tool for self-improvement, choosing resilience and growth over fear and resistance. With a renewed sense of courage, Leo was ready to embrace the next lesson, one that called for rational thinking in the face of life's inevitable storms, the practice of guiding his life by reason. Lesson 8. Be guided by reason. Leo's journey had been transformative so far. He had begun to see adversity as a teacher, yet there were moments when he still felt swayed by powerful emotions, anger, fear, impatience, that clouded his judgment. He realized that while he had cultivated many Stoic practices, he hadn't yet fully mastered his thoughts. Can I learn to respond with reason rather than react with emotion? He wondered. It wasn't long before he encountered a situation that would test this resolve. Leo was preparing to pitch a project he was deeply passionate about to potential collaborators. However, when he shared his ideas, he was met with criticism and skepticism. Disappointment surged within him, followed by a flash of anger. They don't understand the value of this project, he thought, ready to defend his position aggressively. But then he paused, remembering a principle he had encountered in his Stoic studies. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. He realized that his emotions were leading him down a path of frustration and resentment. What if, instead, he could approach this moment with reason? Taking a deep breath, Leo chose to see the feedback not as a personal attack, but as an opportunity to refine his idea. He let go of his defensive reaction and calmly asked his colleagues questions to better understand their perspectives. He realized that their concerns, while difficult to hear, had valid points that could improve his project. This rational approach allowed him to see clearly and adjust his work accordingly, transforming what could have been a frustrating setback into a valuable learning experience. This experience taught Leo the value of guiding his life with reason, not emotion. He understood that while emotions could cloud his vision, reason offered a steady light, helping him navigate situations with clarity and wisdom. Practicing rational thinking became his way of regaining control, a mental discipline that gave him the space to assess his thoughts, question his assumptions, and choose his responses carefully. Over time, Leo learned to apply this lesson to every corner of his life. When disagreements arose, he practiced listening rather than reacting. When faced with a new challenge, he analyzed the situation objectively, focusing on solutions rather than succumbing to fear. He discovered that reason, like a compass, allowed him to navigate even the most turbulent waters with a steady hand. Through this practice, he also became aware of the ways in which irrational thoughts had held him back in the past, moments when he'd let anger, jealousy, or impatience dictate his actions, often to his detriment. But now, with reason as his guide, he felt a profound sense of freedom. He was no longer a prisoner to fleeting emotions, he was their master. What about you? How often do emotions guide your actions? And what might happen if, like Leo, you pause to consider a more rational response? Imagine the clarity, the freedom, the strength you could cultivate by allowing reason to lead the way. With his thoughts now grounded in reason, Leo felt prepared to cultivate the next Stoic virtue, a quality that would grant him an unshakable sense of calm and balance, no matter what life brought, the practice of inner peace. Lesson 9. Cultivate inner peace. With reason now guiding his actions, Leo felt a deepening sense of control over his mind and life. Yet he noticed that in moments of stress, his peace was still easily disturbed. He would slip back into old habits, worry, frustration, impatience, as though a quiet storm lingered beneath the surface. Is it possible, he wondered, to create a peace that nothing can disturb? The answer, he learned, was that inner peace is not a destination, but a practice, a choice made repeatedly in each moment. Inspired by the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Leo resolved to work on cultivating a sense of calm that would remain steady even in the face of life's unpredictability. He began by setting aside a few moments each morning to clear his mind. He would sit quietly, focusing on his breath, letting go of any lingering worries or expectations for the day. At first, his mind raced with thoughts and to-do lists, but over time, he learned to simply observe them, acknowledging each one without attachment. This simple practice became a sanctuary, a place he could return to whenever he felt his peace slipping away. Then, in his daily life, Leo began to notice the triggers that often stole his calm: rushed mornings, crowded trains, long workdays. But instead of allowing these triggers to control his mood, he made a conscious effort to respond with tranquility. In the middle of a tense meeting, he would take a slow breath, reconnecting with his inner stillness. When caught in traffic, he would remind himself that frustration served no purpose. Little by little, he found that his calm was no longer dependent on the outside world. Leo realized that peace was not about avoiding life's noise, but about finding silence within it. He began to treat his mind as a space that he could cultivate, protecting it from unnecessary stress by nurturing his thoughts and practicing acceptance. He noticed that, just as Marcus Aurelius suggested, the color of his thoughts affected his entire being. By choosing thoughts of patience, gratitude, and resilience, he could create a world within himself that no external force could disrupt. The benefits of this inner peace became evident. His decisions improved, his relationships grew stronger, and he found himself feeling lighter and more open. Leo noticed that his previous anxieties about the future, about what others thought, about whether he was enough, were simply clouds passing through the vast sky of his mind. They no longer had the power to cloud his vision or weigh him down. This sense of peace transformed how Leo interacted with others as well. He became a source of calm for friends and family, a presence they felt they could rely on. Instead of reacting to situations with impatience or stress, he responded with understanding and compassion. This shift not only benefited him, but enriched the lives of those around him. What about you? Have you considered the peace that lies within you, waiting to be cultivated? Imagine if, like Leo, you could find calm in any situation, a deep well of tranquility untouched by life's storms. What might you be capable of with that peace guiding your thoughts and actions? With his mind and heart anchored in peace, Leo felt ready to face any challenge. Yet there was one final lesson to integrate, one that called him to see beyond his own desires and attachments, a practice of detachment that would deepen his resilience even further. And so, he embarked on the last Stoic lesson, one that would complete his journey, embracing detachment from outcomes. Lesson 10. Embrace detachment from outcomes. As Leo reflected on the peace he had cultivated, he realized there was one attachment he still struggled to let go of: the desire for specific outcomes. While he had learned to remain calm in the present, he often found himself hoping for certain results in his projects, relationships, and goals. His peace would waver whenever these desires weren't fulfilled. Is it possible to work hard for something yet let go of the need for any particular outcome? He wondered. This question led him to explore the Stoic practice of detachment. In Stoicism, detachment is not a lack of passion or commitment. Rather, it is the ability to give your best without being consumed by the results. It is about holding your efforts and desires with an open hand, allowing life to unfold without clinging to specific outcomes. Leo's opportunity to practice this detachment came soon enough. He had invested months in preparing a proposal for a project that he deeply believed in. He poured his energy, creativity, and heart into it, envisioning all the ways it could succeed. But as the day to present his proposal approached, he reminded himself, "I can control my efforts, but I cannot control the outcome." He presented his work with confidence, knowing he had given it his best. Yet, to his surprise, his proposal was met with hesitation from the decision-makers, who ultimately chose a different direction. The disappointment was sharp, but Leo reminded himself of his practice. Instead of dwelling on what could have been, he let go, choosing to trust that he had done all he could. He had learned that true peace didn't come from getting exactly what he wanted, but from knowing he was not bound to any particular outcome. This shift in perspective began to affect other areas of Leo's life. In his relationships, he stopped worrying about controlling others' reactions or winning their approval. Instead, he focused on being authentic, open, and kind, accepting that he could not dictate how others would respond. In his career, he learned to measure success not by the accolades or recognition he received, but by the quality and integrity of his efforts. Through detachment, Leo felt a freedom that he had never experienced before. He was no longer enslaved by the fear of failure or the desire for validation. He found joy in the act of doing rather than in what his actions might bring him. This detachment didn't mean he cared any less. In fact, it allowed him to care deeply without losing himself in expectations. Leo realized that detachment wasn't about avoiding goals or desires. It was about understanding that his worth did not depend on them. He was free to pursue his dreams with full effort and focus, yet he held them lightly, allowing life to unfold as it would. What about you? Are there outcomes you cling to, expectations that weigh you down? Imagine if, like Leo, you could pursue your goals passionately, yet let go of the need for any particular result. How much lighter would life feel, and how much more peace might you discover? With this final lesson, Leo's journey toward Stoic resilience was complete. He had learned to face life's challenges with calm, to see setbacks as teachers, and to cultivate peace and freedom within himself. Each Stoic principle had woven together, creating an unbreakable fabric of resilience that would carry him through any storm. As he continued his journey, Leo knew there would still be challenges, disappointments, and uncertainties. But he was ready, not because he could control life's events, but because he had learned to master his response to them. Leo's story serves as a reminder that resilience is a lifelong practice, a series of choices made each day. These Stoic lessons offer us tools to face life's inevitable challenges with strength and grace. Whether it's embracing inner peace, practicing gratitude, or letting go of outcomes, each lesson is a step toward a life of fulfillment and inner freedom. Are you ready to take these steps? Which lesson resonates most with you, and how will you begin to incorporate it into your life? Leave a comment sharing your thoughts, And if you found inspiration in Leo's journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who might benefit from these powerful Stoic principles. Thank you for joining us on this path of growth and strength. Here's to your own journey toward resilience and inner peace.